want to start off by asking, do you ever watch any cartoons?
Hell yeah, man. Ever since, growing up,
Uh
I grew up around a time where there was Thundercats,
huh.
Transformers, G.I. Joes, Flintstones, really 80s
I
baby.
fucking love the Flintstones. I don't know why. However, Fred
Yeah.
and but the smaller guy, what was his name?
Barney?
Barney. I actually like Barney more. He seemed like way more chill.
Yeah.
Like I was like, if I want to be like either
Anybody.
one, I would want to be like Barney,
Right.
as he would chill. Another, uh,
Fred Flintstone was kind of always on one. He was
mm,
on 10. He was screaming Wilma. He
yeah,
was mad at it was a dinosaur, but he was mad at the Dino.
yeah,
That was like the rolling bit, but Barney was more so hey Fred,
yeah.
just real chill, just like he was the one that was probably on prehistoric shrooms
Yeah,
and
he
nobody
was.
ever knew
No,
it.
he was like smoking weed all the time. I feel like he should have. I think also because like it seemed like outside of work that dude was like useless. Like
Yeah,
he couldn't cook, he couldn't clean, he couldn't do anything. I was like, what's wrong with you, man? You some weak dude. You can't do
yeah,
nothing for yourself. Like
dude.
if you weren't married, like yo, you be homeless on the streets.
That goes into something. You had sent me that podcast. I can't remember who's that guy's name. You sent me the podcast to kind of look over. He talks
Uh,
about being a beast, but a reserve beast.
a reserve beat. You talking about Jordan Peterson?
Jordan Peterson.
Oh,
So
so
yeah,
so what he talks about is how a weak man is a dangerous man,
hmm
and is the man that is strong and uh at control is like they control their discipline, their chaos.
yeah,
They are able to control it. They're dangerous, but they're in control of their danger.
hmm
But it's because like you need somebody, and I feel like this isn't just for men, but
hmm
women too.
right,
Like you have to be able to handle yourself in things or whatever. Otherwise, you can put other people at jeopardy. Like
yes,
and you have to be able to bring that out of you, that gorilla, that ape,
hmm
but not the ape where it's just wild and
out
crazy,
of
but the
control,
ape
but
that protects his child,
yes,
you know what I mean?
yes,
That type of energy.
yes,
And I feel like when it comes to like Fred, like, I mean, he's weak or whatever. Just say he's in a situation where his wife is sick, or, she's hurt or whatnot. Like, what's going to happen to his daughter in his
right,
household? Like,
right,
it's going to envelop into chaos, you know what I
right,
mean? Because all these things he can't handle outside of controlling a
right.
dinosaur. What is like the use of that? You know what I mean?
Hey, he gets locked out. All the whole family's on the inside. He's screaming out,
I
Wilma.
know.
But
Like, what ain't there?
the reason I wanted to kind of go into that, man,
uh,
is because I have this belief system personally.
hmm
I feel like, and it's probably gonna ruffle some feathers, but I think it's fair, and I think most more people in our community will agree. But I do feel like, as a woman is dating,
hmm
I think finding a man that knows how to hunt, knows how to fish,
hmm
knows how to self defense,
hmm
and knows has firearm training. That person is disciplined,
hmm
and then that also. And I'm not going to say this is going to work 100% of the time, but I think most of the time that type of man,
hmm
if he's disciplined with that, then he's going to be disciplined in his marriage. He's going to be
Yeah.
disciplined in the relationship. He's going to be disciplined with finances. He's
hmm
going to be disciplined. He's going to know how to protect his family.
Yeah.
He's not going to allow somebody to come in his house
Yeah.
and just do what he wants.
Yeah.
Because believe you me, I really feel like there could be some out there that if some guys came in and said, "Look, we're gonna take all your stuff. We're
hmm
gonna hold you at gunpoint, take your stuff." Obviously, if you don't have to drop on them, then
Yeah.
they got to get it. But if you had to drop on them
hmm
and you knew they were in there and you knew what was going on, like if I knew I'm gonna try to stop it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let that happen. And then because even more than that, what if they wanted to do something to your wife, to your
Yeah.
child? Man, you
hmm
can't let that happen. And I think the best
hmm
show, The Last of Us,
Yeah.
is the best apocalyptic
Yeah. Show
setting
that
because
shows that.
if civilization was to fall
hmm
today, and I think ladies, you have to ask yourself
hmm
if it was the go if the government went to crap, world government went to crap,
hmm
and it was just like the All of Us, could your spouse, when it really counted, protect you, protect your family, because in situations like
Mm.
that, there are people that become what we call raiders,
Yeah.
and they group and they take and they steal and they will kill in those situations. Can you defend?
Yeah.
You
I
know,
think it's a balance of not just pitting uh, a mate, but like mirroring that within yourself. I feel like you
protect
have
within
to
yourself.
be
Yeah,
able to do those things for yourself.
yeah,
But then when you can do those things for yourself, you contribute and bring more to the plate
yeah.
when you're in a scenario where you're dealing with somebody else too. I think that's one of the beautiful things when you have like gyms that are open, and the and it's
Family.
not because of the bring that knowledge and information. It's because you have a gym or whatnot. You have it's a it's a it's a space for community,
Community,
for
family,
people to come
friends.
in
Yeah.
multiple different backgrounds, multiple different ideologies, multiple different perspectives on
Hmm.
things, and it'll be able to hear from different people's perspective.
Yes.
Now, you also have to humble yourself where you and be able to receive those perspectives and then have a back and forth conversation. Because we're not always agree with everybody that we're around,
All right.
but we see these things as a team, like we're being in a team. We want to
Yeah.
make each other better.
Yeah.
So it becomes less about each other's opinions and more about the knowledge and what's best for everybody inside the room. You know what
Right.
I mean? I think that we can't and I see now in terms of okay, so the reason why I asked about the cartoon thing is because one of my favorite cartoons is Adventure Time.
Oh
Have you
man.
watched it?
Yes.
Have you
I,
seen?
I'm an Adult Swim fan,
Yeah.
but more than that, like Cartoon Network, one of my favorite.
Uh huh.
Even in college, I would just leave my TV on Cartoon Network all
Yeah.
day, just cause.
Wait. Yeah. I mean, I've done the same thing, or I like just straight up binge watching their
Yeah,
shows, especially that
that
show.
show. Yeah,
But have you ever seen the episode called Idris?
I have not.
So it's this one episode on there and they're like fumbling around trying to go on a adventure through a cave, like
Hmm.
underground cave. And so they stumble upon it, because they think they're going to find treasure and stuff, and Finn falls down the steep or like this just straight fall inside the
Hmm.
cave. And so Jake is like away from him, which I don't see how that can happen with his powers. But then
Right.
Finn goes through this door and he just locked into a room, and the only way and then he turns around and it's just one big door, and he's trying to open the door, he can't open the door, and he's like baiting on the door over and over and he closes his eyes, he hits the door, and he goes through the door,
Hmm.
and then he's like, oh snap, I'm through, and when he opens his eyes, he's back in the room.
Back there. Well, that's scary.
And so every single time he closes his eyes, he goes through the door. Through the door,
Hmm.
and then he goes and he interacts and he gets out of the cave, and he's back to his regular life. But whenever he opens his eyes, he's back in the room. And
Hmm.
it happens, and every single time he tries to keep his eyes closed, something makes him open his eyes.
Hmm.
And then he's like, okay, I have to deal with what's going on with me.
Have to
I
face it.
can't like
Yeah.
stay blind
Hmm.
to the situation in which I
Hmm.
am. And so he like ties up his eyes and he just walks and walks and walks, and he steadies towards the goal, which is to find his way
Out.
through,
Yeah.
actually through the door. And so then eventually he finds another cave. It's not really a cave, it's a temple. He goes through the temple and then he goes through the door and he opens his eyes and he can like see through the walls of
Hmm.
the cave and he makes his way out. And I think that's in terms of that can be interpreted multiple different ways. But sometimes stories are meant to be interpreted by you a particular way.
Yeah.
And even differently throughout your life too as well, based off of what's going on with you. And what like spoke to me just now was like even like with training and things in life,
Yeah.
you have to deal with what's going on with you.
Right.
You know, you can't just keep your eyes closed and try to like fumble through
Hmm.
and try to keep things from keeping you from having your eyes open. You have to find the path back to where you're supposed to be.
Right.
You got to find the path through. And I feel like even with training,
Yeah.
like sometimes it feels like you just want to stay, in the other world, and you don't want to train. You don't want
Yeah.
to realize how bad you are.
Yeah.
You don't want to realize that you have to go through hardship and
Yeah.
trial and tribulation and be able to get better.
Yeah.
I feel like the same thing when it comes to listening to other people's opinions. Sometimes you have to open yourself up, and it
Hmm.
might cause you to have to deal with certain mental pain and anguish. and also the realization that you're wrong, which can also be a detriment to your ego.
Right.
But you let all those things go and let your life take you to where you're supposed to be. I feel like that's a powerful thing. A lot of people that I feel like I've had to do and I still have to do. You know.
Mm. I feel like maturity can help that. A lot of times, listening to other people's opinions, we might feel attacked, right?
Hmm.
We might feel like, oh, they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're talking about. I feel attacked. I feel defensive. Sometimes you have to listen to what's being said
Hmm.
and then look into yourself, right?
Yeah.
You have to look into yourself and be like, you know what? Especially, look at the qualifications of that person. If it's coming from that person, don't always take it as, oh, they're hating, is a
Hmm.
hater, nothing like that. If somebody really cares about you, they should be telling the truth
Yeah.
to you,
Yeah.
right?
It should be the heart first.
It should be, yeah, and embrace it
Hmm.
and get better
Yeah.
and keep working. I think a lot of times, man, because we're growing up in a generation where things come quick, things come fast,
Yeah.
and right, things will come fast for certain people, but at the same time, it may not come. What came fast for
Mm.
you may not come fast for me,
Yeah.
but I have to work harder. I have to dig a little bit more deeper, and I'm gonna have to figure out some things maybe that you didn't have to figure out to
Yeah.
help me get to that point that you're
Yeah.
already at, and that is falling in love with the process
Yeah. I
and
think
falling in love with it.
I wanted to like because I've listened to people and
Mm,
I feel like some people they feel comfortable, they feel more comfortable in a bad situation
yeah.
versus stepping out into a good situation, because in a bad situation they know that it's bad. You know
Mm,
what I mean? They kind of predict what's going to happen, so it hurts less than if something is presenting themselves as good and then it turns out to be bad and then they get let down even more. You know, I feel like you have to be open to the good in
mm,
people,
yeah.
you know what I mean, in order to receive people, in order to be able to really care about other people too as well. And to
Yeah.
care about yourself too. As like you say like you go somewhere, you know, and you can think, okay, well, people are actually looking out for me. They
Yeah.
want me to get better, this,
Yeah.
that, and the other. That's a very conducive environment, but then it also puts you on the spot where you can't be all about yourself either,
Hmm.
because these people are about you.
You got to pour
You
into
know
other
what I
people.
mean? And
Yeah.
so like versus going somewhere where everybody's just beating up everybody and everything like that, you're beating people too as well. That's more like a ego conservation gym,
Yeah.
because not only do you have to fight, you know, to beat everybody constantly to please your ego, whatever, but it's like all everybody is shoved into their group. And then you also don't have to, you feel like you don't have to listen to other people
Hmm.
because everybody's out for your neck. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's defensive and everything like that versus
You're in a
everybody
constant
working
battle.
towards, you know, the same goal. And
Yeah.
going back to what you said, I feel like I wonder if that's more of a positive thing to have in terms of relationship wise
Hmm.
versus the latter, you know, where you're having somebody that you have to constantly fight,
Man,
you
I
know.
don't know if that's even healthy. Constantly being in conflict with someone. I think a lot of times people have been so used to things not going right with people
Mm.
that that's what they know, that's what they're used to, and when they finally meet someone, whether it's a friend, whether it's a potential mate, whatever it is, they almost like, I got to put my shield up because this is just too good to be true. This is not what I'm used to.
Yeah.
This is not what I'm used to.
Yeah.
This is, they're different. They're coming at a different angle than
Yeah.
what I'm used to. I'm used to the toxicity. I'm used to the aggressiveness. I'm used to that.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying, when you get somebody that comes in that they're not a pushover, but they
Yeah.
also have a gentle heart. They also move with grace. Like that'll throw some people off that haven't resolved their past issues, whether
Yeah.
it's conscious, subconscious.
Yeah. I think my I know one of my biggest issues is like dealing with abandonment
Mm-hmm.
with people, especially
Giving
dealing
up.
with women. And so like I feel like it causes me to have a lack of patience and then not to fully be myself, or I'll be over the top or whatnot because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm on a timer. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like this isn't gonna last long. Nobody can really care about me. This, that, and the
Mm-hmm.
other. You know, but I feel like that causes a negative energy.
Yeah.
It can cause you to pit the wrong people too, and jump into things quick because you're like, oh hey, well I'm on a timer. And
Right.
so I think, you know, instead of being relaxed and chill and just let the universe and time take you on that river and just enjoy the river and just be yourself,
Yeah.
you know. And if things happen, it does, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. And then not taking things so personal, you know what I mean? Like an armbar isn't a personal thing. If you did harden it a lot, you suck at defending
You got to
armbars.
learn the
You have to learn
defense.
how to defend armbar. And I feel like instead of feeling like I'm cursed
Yeah.
with a repeat thing always happening to me, I have to figure out what, you know, is maybe causing it, but then also maybe the universe isn't putting certain things in place. I'm supposed to be doing other things too, and so it's a matter of patience.
Right. I think it's two things. The first thing I want to do is congratulate you in terms of you sat there, you acknowledged some things that you saw. You saw some patterns in yourself and you acknowledged it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you it seems like you have a open mind and heart to want to fix that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think sometimes we have to take a test more than once.
Mm-hmm.
Funny
Oh
story.
yeah.
Let's go into that. Let's go into
Mm-hmm.
that and then we're gonna bring it full circle. Like a lot of people don't know, like I had to take my blue belt twice.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I was really trying to be fancy.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to do too much.
Yeah.
And the other thing I didn't do was study like I should have.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know if you know that there's a possibility for that's coming up, your professor has told you, you know, hey, get ready, you know, this is coming. Man, I think you got to prepare a month, 2 months in advance,
Yeah.
and you need to be having a buddy to
Yeah.
do that with.
Mm-hmm.
I failed it. You know, I was down on myself. I was embarrassed. I thought I
Yeah.
would have had it. I turned around, and this is that part where you talked about people pouring into you.
Mm-hmm.
Joey took me the next day for about 3 hours. We went over the test. We put a move for every position that we had. And the next day he came in there. He was my buddy. He was my partner for the test
Mm-hmm.
and passed the test. When I actually took the time to study, when I took the time to actually do it, I passed that test. And I
Yeah.
want to make it full circle. A lot of times we will go through the same thing over and over again because we haven't passed that test the
No, we
first
haven't.
time. And then
Yeah.
finally it's going to click. You do it another time, it's going to
Yeah.
click. It's going to be like, oh, I got it. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I think a lot of sacred text is a very powerful thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, whether it's man-made or inspired by the creator,
The creator,
you
the
know, I
energies that
mean,
be.
it's
Yeah.
it's still like we are byproducts of the creator anyway,
Yeah.
you know, and what we do is a story that's being played out that the creator is creating, you know what I mean? Anyway, so like everything is basically inspired, but negative or positive, you know, it's a balance. But on back to what I originally meant to say, that reminds me of Odu of Ifa, and it's one of the first Odus, and it talks about how you will repeat the same lessons until you learn
So you learn them.
until you learn it, you know what I mean?
Right.
And now it's like I think it's represented as like something knocking on your head.
Mm-hmm.
You're on to keep on getting knocked on the head by the same
Until,
thing
yeah.
until you learn the lesson. And I think that that's a powerful thing. And instead of being arrogant and being like, or being like the same thing like I did before was like, oh, I'm just cursed and this,
Mm-hmm.
that, and the other. You know, you feel like you're cursed by the situation. No, step back, step outside yourself, see what's going on, and try to learn to progress. Or sometimes the bird shitting on you is actually a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
It might be saving you from a cat.
Right.
You know, that's
Sometimes
about to walk
reject. Hey,
by.
it's what we like to say. Rejection is sometimes your protection.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes,
Same thing with your test or whatever. Let's
yeah,
say like you passed it the
the
first
first
time, all
time,
being flashy and stuff,
yeah,
and then your technique, how you practice, becomes more
sucks.
like that versus more intricate and
Yeah,
actually knowing what's going on,
yeah,
and it builds up a negative pattern versus a positive pattern.
right.
And then eventually you get your leg broke because of
Doing
it.
something
You know
stupid,
what I
right,
mean? Or you hurt somebody else doing something flashy, like
right,
you're doing cartwheel passes instead of
right,
actually a knee slice pass.
right.
Like you do a cartwheel pass and knee somebody in the face or whatever, doing something stupid versus, you know, knee
And
slice
the
passing.
and the funny part about that is that this stuff when I went back over it and I actually
Mm.
studied and actually applied it and I passed those moves now are stuck in my head. They're
Yeah.
embedded. So now those for escaping somebody's full guard. I knee through the middle,
Yeah.
slice. You know, baseball slide like
Yeah.
those stuff I do every time now because
Yeah.
it's just so muscle memory now
Yeah.
and I needed that. I needed that failure
Mhm.
to not only, you know what I'm saying, get better at
Huh.
jiu-jitsu, but I needed that failure to also know for the future,
Yeah.
for years to come when I have to test again,
Yeah.
hey man, hey, we need to get ready 2-3 months in advance. Then I'm telling white belts now. I'm like, hey man,
Yeah.
like, and I say I don't know everything, but hey, I advise you start studying now. If you know that, the grading is going to
Hmm.
be around June,
Yeah.
the grade, like, it's June 7th on a Sunday,
Yeah.
bro. You need to start getting, man. Really now, you're almost at that too late point.
Yeah.
You need to start doing it now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why, like, I think going back to even when I was doing these episodes before,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of it is like self healing, because it's a word you said that been on my mind lately, no lie, and that's failure.
Yeah.
There is certain areas in my life where I constantly myself up on, where I feel like I'm a failure. Instead of trying to learn from
Yeah.
things, I just stuck in that feeling, and then I just stuck in this depressive cycle. And I think one of the things, because of my childhood and how I've been raised,
Yeah.
I know how to automatic when I'm depressed.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm depressed, I'm going through mental stuff.
Yeah.
I can keep doing everything. Like I can work, I can train, I can do this, that, and the other, and just shove it away or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that there's certain feelings that are still there,
They
and
come back.
especially when
Yeah.
I'm about to go to sleep or they're bogged down, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I can't sleep because I'm just fucking beating myself in the head
Yeah.
over and over and over again about stuff. And that's one of the big major words is failure. And I think that I didn't understand, like when you hear Denzel Washington talks about failing forward.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't really understand that. I think when it came to like competing, like
Yeah.
failing forward and
Yeah.
keep going, you know what I mean? I think I took it as, oh, I'm just going to do it anyway, whether I win or lose. No,
Mm-hmm.
fail and learn from your failure in order to become a better
Better
success,
success. Yeah.
because you don't know where your story is supposed to lead to, and sometimes the failures in your story leads to the victory in the end of your story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all live in stories, you know what I mean? And we're the only ones that fully experience our own story. I feel like nowadays everybody wants everybody to experience each other's story,
Yeah.
because they feel like it's not as worth as much, or is worth
Mm-hmm.
more if other people see what's going on with us.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think like that's kind of like dilutes it, or that takes the focus off of who's supposed to be seeing it, which is yourself.
Yourself.
And
Yeah.
then you're not be able to see like the core aspects of it that you're supposed to be looking at. And I know that because that's me. I'll do things to be able to drown out that, or
Mm-hmm.
I focus too much on negative or whatever, and can't focus on the point of this, what's going on in the story. Like
Right.
Professor Chris told me before when my godbrother died, and I was asking him about things, and he was like, "Yo, you have to see, your life
Mm-hmm.
like chapters, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to see what chapter are you in within your life." And I think that one of the reason why I keep on getting knocked on my head over and over again, because I'm not understanding failure and I'm not understanding the importance of it, and then being able to, instead of being automatic and just doing things anyway, being driven. Because I think those are two different things. I feel like I have to get out of being automatic
Mm-hmm.
and be driven even more in, and also understanding where my failures were, because I feel like I'm a very talented person and I can overcome them. But
Yeah.
it's always you that's the biggest person in the way. But then is you have the opportunity to experience such a beautiful story,
Mm-hmm.
within your life. And I feel like you have to be able to
You
focus
gotta
on
keep
you
going.
seeing it versus focus on everybody else seeing it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
At the end of the day, you're the only person that want to see your memory
Mm-hmm.
when you die.
Right.
Nobody else is.
The
And that
playback
does
over.
not
Yeah.
mean that you go out and do the craziest shit ever or whatnot, because, and become a clone and be like other people.
Right.
Who do you really want to be?
Yeah.
What failures do you want to
Mm.
have that make who you are and submit who you are?
Right.
You know, or like victories too. But I mean, sometimes victories and lead to the bit is depressions. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And yeah, and I think a lot of people get it misconstrued sometimes. Like you said victories could lead to the biggest depressions. You know, wow, that right there, you know, you would think loss would do that, and it can, but sometimes people can be. There's somebody out there winning right now, but they feel so empty inside.
Yeah.
Something that I wanted to touch on real quick, man, that you mentioned was how you just kept going, and I started thinking about an analogy with it. That's almost like a vehicle. You're going, you keep going. The check engine lights on.
Mm.
A lot of us do this. check engine light is on,
Yeah.
and hey, the car's still running good, so I'm just gonna ignore that. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
keep going, and I
Yeah.
keep going, and I
Yeah.
keep going until you start hearing that knocking sound. And then that knocking sound is similar to you being bogged down. A lot of times, and this is the crazy part. This is why I think they have those questionnaires now. A lot of us can be depressed and not know that we're depressed.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know it. We just keep going.
Yeah.
We just keep going, and
Yeah.
and that's why, like I said, unofficially, jiu-jitsu is therapy. Doing this can be therapy. Talking to somebody, talking to a licensed,
Yeah. Yeah.
person, that's some of the best moves ever.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Doing that, because a lot of times they're professionally be able to pick apart and find the source of what's going on, the
Mm-hmm.
source of what you're trying to deal with, and then trying to unravel that, trying to be productive and doing those things. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that, and then talking to people that actually care, man. Some people, man, I'm gonna say this. There's people out there. I don't. It's crazy if you're telling if you're pouring your heart out to somebody and they say, "Oh, that's crazy," more than 2 times, stop
Yeah.
what you're doing, hang up the phone, because they really don't care, man.
Yeah.
Like, you want somebody that's gonna listen, that's actually gonna listen, and then maybe just listen,
Yeah.
maybe just listen, and just be there. I
Yeah.
had to learn that too, man, as a friend.
Mm-hmm.
As I had to sit there and
Yeah.
listen.
I had a
They,
friend.
they might not even, and they might even want like you to
Yeah.
give them like an answer to something. They just want to listen. Go ahead, man.
I had a friend I was talking to today over the phone, and they. I try to be discreet even more now.
Yes, you gotta
They.
be.
That's why I want to say they or
They're
whatever.
confiding in you,
They
man.
don't go by they or whatever,
Yeah.
but they were talking about how the stuff that they're going through feels so heavy,
Mm-hmm.
where they feel
Mm-hmm.
like like they taught to me or whatever
Yeah.
at certain time, but they probably wouldn't be taught and was just crying,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, but like based off of my experience, and this goes back to failure, but and also shortcomings. I've had time periods
Yeah.
where I needed somebody just to be there, just
Just
to sit
there.
with me.
Sit in that room.
You know what I mean? And I think that I have to realize I've had time periods where I've had that, but I feel like sometimes it bogged down by the time periods in which I didn't. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
But then I've had time periods where I didn't, where it's taught me that some of the most powerful thing you can do is just sit next to somebody so they know that the person is there.
Yeah. Just
And
do
it's
it.
not about talking and this, that, and the other. It's that that person would rather be there than anywhere else because they want to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that
You're safe.
you have positive energy directed towards you with all
Mm-hmm.
the crap that's going on. They
Mm-hmm.
want to be a steady part of this, like within the storm or whatever, like
Mm-hmm.
help it anchor. But
Right.
then also be like Jake within, like in Adventure Time, where every single time Finn wanted to just pretend like he wasn't having to keep his eyes closed and pretend like
Mm-hmm.
he was in the real world, Jake would like mess with him and open his eyes up. Because the energy of Jake is his brother. He cares about him. He
Yeah.
wants him to be able to dip back to the
See the
real
truth.
world. And
Yeah.
so he's like, you have to deal with what's going on, what's going on with you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that doesn't mean like he has to tell you, the answer to the question, but he can just be like, we need you to open your eyes,
Yeah.
you know, get to where you're supposed to be.
You know what my other favorite cartoon is? You probably watch it too. Regular Show.
Yeah,
That
I like
that's
Regular
that
Show.
was it.
Yeah.
That was my show, man.
Yeah,
I love
Mordecai and
that show.
Rigby.
Mordecai
I
and
learned about
Rigby, bro.
friend zones from that show,
Yeah.
and I thought that would forever be friend zoned by all the Earls.
Oh man. Man. Yo, let's go into that
That
real
friend
quick. The friend
zone.
zone.
Oh my god.
I think I say this, man, and damn, man. Shout out to my big bro. He doesn't do jujitsu, but he really took me under his wing as a big brother. KB. He took me under his wing. He lives in Birmingham now, and whatnot. And he took me under his wing and really taught me a lot of things because I don't have a biological big brother, but he served as that for me. And basically, you have to respect the curve. So you kind of, in a sense, got to respect the friend zone as what it is, man, because you never want to lose yourself
Yeah.
and be somebody that you're not
Yeah.
to be with a girl.
Yeah. This is what I say is, for me, if I have to put on the mask in order for a girl to like me,
You're
she
not
never
living.
liked me.
Yeah.
And then it makes me feel worse because then I have to be somebody that I'm not.
You're not living.
Because
You're not
that
living.
means you believe that much more further that you can't be loved by being who you are.
Right.
So I'd rather
Right.
be who I am and love myself versus somebody else love a fake version of me.
Right.
And because deep down inside, it's gonna make me feel like crap.
Yeah.
You know,
You not.
it
Yeah.
don't
You.
kill my ego
Yeah.
worse than
Yeah.
anything.
It will.
Like I don't know, some of y'all like y'all think with with your junk or whatnot, so y'all can be fake just to be able to get off. Me, I don't care if I did off or not. I want to feel like, don't nobody like me. I have to be fake and be dumb. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'd rather be in the woods
You know,
doing my own thing versus that crap.
I'm not gonna lie, man. I think before I started doing Brazilian Jiu Jitsu like full time, man, I'll admit this. I think at certain points in my life, I wasn't being me.
Hmm.
And then finally, I started doing this, and I finally got to be around people from different walks of life. And I just said, you know what? I'm gonna live I'm gonna be different. I don't, if I dress a certain way, I don't care what people think of me.
Yeah.
They're not gonna come up and make fun of me about
Yeah.
it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I
So
think I more so have that issue with with people
yeah,
where I think not necessarily didn't really like me, but broad spread, I wasn't being real.
yeah,
I used to think I was, but I really wasn't. But I had like authority issues, not necessarily like I had subservient issues,
mm-hmm.
and so I wouldn't be myself, and I would be subservient, and I feel like that dampened my even like my testosterone, my
Yeah,
arrested level and stuff. And I would damper who I am or whatever, subservient or whatnot, because of the
yeah.
dynamics that I was in when I was younger. You know what I mean? And it was more so like faking to have friends or whatnot, or just being closed off versus fully actually being myself.
Have you seen like the House Party series, like 1, 2, and 3? You
A
have seen
long
House
time ago.
a long time ago. In House Party 3, Bernie Mac, rest in peace. He comes
Hmm.
in, he's talking to Kid, and Kid has an issue. He's getting married in this one. It's House Party. This is my least favorite one, by the way. House
Yeah.
Party 2, the Pajama Jammy Jam is my favorite, but House Party 3, because it was just college vibes, just college vibes.
Yeah.
House Party 3, he
Yeah.
gets married
Uh huh.
and he's not getting along with the in-laws. And
Hmm.
Bernie Mac says, man, and there's clips on the net on internet today, and he says it in part my French. I know mom's probably watching, but he was just like, man, if they don't like you, man, fuck them. Said, fuck them. If you don't like them, fuck them.
Yeah. That's
You
what
know what I'm
I've had to
saying? If they don't
learn.
like you, be yourself. He said, be
Yeah.
yourself.
I,
And even though it was a funny scene,
uh,
that was actually a real scene. That's a
yeah.
scene right there that a lot of us need to understand. Be yourself, man. The
Yeah.
people that are going to accept you, that are going to love you, those right people will
Yeah.
be there.
Yeah, gravitate around
They'll
you.
gravitate around
It's
you,
not about
man.
you gravitating around other people, to please people. It's
Right,
about them gravitating around you, and you don't need to
right.
be jumping through hoops. You know what
Oh
I mean?
no, oh
All you
no,
can do is
oh
be
no.
real and be good. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And then if people ain't being real and being good, and then so the fuck what?
you
I
gotta
think you
gotta
have
get them out
to,
that
if
circle.
you can't, I feel like yes, you almost have to be fine being in the island by yourself.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And so when you're able to do that, Jack and bless you with
yeah,
that confidence to be able to do with anybody, to be able to conquer anything. You know
yeah,
what I mean? And so like I feel like that's how you had like a lot of the very strong men
yeah,
mentors that I had were like that. I
yeah.
knew it was one Ross.
Mhm.
And his focus wasn't on smoking weed and talking about Ja all the time. You know what I mean? He was on the work. He was like, I'm having my gardens, I'm
Yeah,
having my organizations, I'm
found
doing
peace there.
this. He was one of the hardest working men
Yeah,
I've ever known before. And same thing with Chris. Like
yeah,
they were constantly doing stuff.
yeah,
And they can build a nation on their own.
yeah,
And they're like, y'all want to help? Cool. Y'all don't? Fuck y'all. I'm
yeah,
doing my shit anyway.
yeah.
He was like, I'm moving to Africa. All y'all motherfuckers talking about moving to Africa. I actually did it,
Yeah,
bitch.
he did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's people that talk about things. There's people
Yes,
that actually
I.
that actually do. You know what I'm saying? And watching Professor Chris is really a movement. Really,
Uh
you know
huh.
what I'm saying? It's funny. I kind of say he's spreading the gospel of jiu-jitsu pretty
Mm-hmm.
much. You know what I'm saying? And
But I think like with Chris is much more than that. He's I think he has more than jet jujitsu. It's
yeah, it's
about
his
who
mind
he
too.
it's about who he
100%.
is
Yeah,
as a person,
yeah,
and you can see that like I've been around his parents a lot, and you can see a lot in terms of his dad
mm-hmm,
and him in terms of
mm-hmm.
how they really do things out of the goodness of their
Right,
heart. You know what I mean? And I
right.
think it's not where it's like I feel like from my own experience, it might be different for him. Where sometimes it's not because it's an inherent thing, but it like, oh, I'm just naturally this way. But something they see that they have to, they should do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I'm doing this. Like when I was
Moving
training
with
with him
purpose.
full
Moving with
time,
purpose. Yeah.
he used to like take me everywhere with him. He used
Really.
to drive me home.
Really.
He didn't have to do that, and like
Right.
he was living like far out of the way, you
And went out of
know,
his way to do
did
that.
not, you
Yeah.
know, not doing like sleep or whatever. But he was like, "Yo, I'm gonna make sure this young cat gets where he needs to be," you know. And it's not just
That's
about
beautiful.
jujitsu; it's about making sure this young cat is learning and growing and moving,
Right.
and you know, sustaining himself and building himself up, giving him advice. You know what I mean? I think one of the biggest lessons he taught me, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think I didn't realize until this week that he taught me it,
Mm-hmm.
and it was not necessarily know your value, but you have to bring value to the table in order to
Mm.
get what you want. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like if you wanted to pay more, what the fuck are you doing to get paid more?
Right.
How are you working
Are you
hard in
getting the
order to get to what you
certifications?
want to get?
Are you
You're
getting
not supposed to be doing the handout, you know,
right?
because people are cool with you. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like what are you doing?
Right.
You know, so you always have to do that because even if you're working for yourself and you're not going to get handouts from this world, you have to put yourself out there and find a way. And that doesn't mean you just working hard. You got to find those tricks to the trade and this, that, and the
Mm-hmm.
other. I feel like as young people, you have to be able to do that. You know.
That's why I go back to what I was saying, man. Like I think a lot of times too, we live in a I want it right now society,
Hmm.
and that's why, man. You know, Professor Chris has that riddle where he says, "How long did it take the average person to get a black belt?"
Yeah.
And he did that riddle 2 weeks ago. Some people said 12. Some people said, man, it might take 10 years. Some people said 15. One of the guys, I think it was actually, it was crazy, man. I think actually Brian Goldsby's son, not Sean,
Mm.
but the other
Yeah, Brian. Yeah,
Brian
Brian. The
said,
junior.
Brian Jr. said no. He said never.
Yeah.
And that was the catch.
Yeah.
The average person will not get a
No.
black belt. It's going to take you being more than
Than the average.
average
Yeah.
to get it.
Yeah.
You
It's
know what I'm
not
saying?
easy.
I seen this other post, and I don't want to take anything away. I might have said this on the last episode, but I don't want to take anything away from doctors, lawyers, whatever. But I might post it on my stories tonight. But it showed all the belts,
Hmm.
and it said in this time you could be a doctor.
Yeah, you can.
You know what I'm
You
saying?
be a surgeon.
You be a surgeon. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And it's crazy. We got
Yeah.
Doc in our class with us,
Yeah.
and I'd love to interview him and see like, hey, which one? Hey, be for real, man. Which one's harder?
Yeah.
Is it jiu-jitsu or is it going through
Yeah.
med school, going through residency, and doing
Yeah.
all that stuff? That's why I said I don't want to. Hey, everybody, I don't want to
But you
piss off
also,
anybody in the medical community, but
I
hey,
feel like, and I want to end it in a
yeah,
second, but
yeah,
I feel like the same thing with different things in life too. You have to see yourself. You got to see, oh, hey, I've been doing this for a little while. Am I actually just a preschooler at this?
hmm,
I'm in elementary school.
yeah,
What level I'm at? And then you also have to humble yourself to the level in which you're at.
yeah,
You know, like you want to be in a movie and you want to be the main character of your own
right,
movie and stuff and be that natural and just did it like that.
hmm,
But what's the point of that?
right,
Like, how much are you gaining? You know, and how much of the story are you experiencing?
right,
You have a situation, you're living a life, you're being graced with a life in which you can be able to have continue a long movie that lasts for hours,
mm.
you know? And so why not like embrace that and be patient?
Why not be patient? Why not embrace it? Why not win? Why not, you know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Keep pushing. Don't stop. Don't quit. There's people that, man, there's people that want to see you win.
mm.
There are going to be some people that want to see you give up. But man, embrace the people that want to see you win. And sometimes they may say things that you they may and this is something that I tell my professors, I tell my team, if I say if I'm messing up,
Mm.
get on me. Tell me the truth. I suck doing this right now. I suck doing this De La Hiva. I suck. Tell me that so that I can. Hey, let me turn up. Let me get right.
Yeah, I mean that goes back to life isn't about being coddled.
Mm-hmm.
It's about
Mm-hmm.
realizing your shortcomings, it's about realizing your failures.
Right.
It's about being in reality of what you are and what you aren't. If you're a white belt, you're a white belt. You're
Right.
not just magically going to become a black belt, you know. And you say you might never become the best trying old person in the world, and this, that, and the
Right.
other. You might never become, black belt world champion. You might will, but you have
Mm-hmm.
to accept and love your journey one way or the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Otherwise, the person that want to make you the most depressed is yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
It's your own demon.
When you too hard on yourself.
I'm gonna close it off by saying this is from a line from a movie that's supposed to be from a book. It talks about how all our angels, all the heavens, all the hells, all the demons are within you.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm gonna close it off, man. Just like I can't really follow behind that. That was really good,
Yeah.
man. But for anybody that's just starting jujitsu, that's frustrated, that maybe feel like they're going through that rut right now, man. Just keep pushing. Sometimes you're gonna be the hammer, sometimes you're gonna be the nail. I feel like it comes in levels.
Mm-hmm.
You ascend, and then sometimes you may plateau. Sometimes you might fall off a little bit because life happens. But don't give up. Keep showing up to the match.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm gonna leave it off at.
All right. Peace, y'all.
Peace. It's gonna be
Yes,
more coming.
I.
It's gonna
Rastafari.
be absolutely, man. Look, y'all, it's gonna be more coming from the Healerz podcast,
Mhm.
man. Just be on the lookout for that. Like, subscribe, man. Hit us up, man. Peace.
Peace.